So I've been noticing quite a lot of growth on my YouTube channel in the last few days. We've got our first Reading Festival announcement come out this week, so a lot of you may have come to view this from watching that. And if you have, then thank you so much. This is what I started my channel for, was to share music. So this is my weekly show where I just talk about the music that I'm listening to on a week-to-week basis. Usually I pick 3 songs. For the last couple of weeks I've been looking at specific areas of the world. So this week we're going to America and looking at 3 artists and tracks that I'm obsessed with from there. Or just certainly things that are exciting me about that kind of area. So if you've come here from viewing some of my Reading videos and wonder what the f*** you're looking at, then sorry, back to a regularly scheduled programme as of tomorrow. But yeah, this is something I like to do once a week, is just talk about things that are exciting me in the world of music at the moment. So without further ado, it's Friday, it's sunny outside. It was pissing it down a minute ago, but it's delicious now. That can only mean one thing: music club. The first artist I want to talk about this week is Anderson .Paak. I've been following Anderson .Paak for a few years now. He comes from Oxnard, which is a city in California, just kind of northwest of Los Angeles. It's also the name of his latest album. And I featured him on a previous episode of Music Club with his track Bubblin'. Bubblin' has been given the remix treatment from the formidable Kate Trinada and features some guest vocals from probably one of the most underrated rappers of all time, Busta Rhymes.
Look at the cash, look at the cash. Every time I got my hip in the middle, hit the high, hello.
Which is amazing, and I highly recommend you going and checking out. I discovered that listening to his new Beats One radio show, which is really cool. If you're a fan of his kind of music or listening to kind of anything funk or soul related, then I highly recommend checking out the radio show. I think it's on week 4. It's called Yes Lord Radio, and I highly recommend checking that out. The track we're focusing on today, though, is taken from his newest album, Oxnard. It's the opening track from the album. I think there's something really interesting about Anderson .Paak. He's doing something very exciting in the world of hip hop, and in fact I kind of put him and his thought process on the same level of Kendrick Lamar, who actually features on this album as well on the track Tints. He's clearly influenced by a lot of old jazz and funk records, drawing a similar kind of energy as James Brown, whilst also having somewhat of a psychedelic influence as well. This brings me to this track, a track that no one on the internet has submitted the sample for. I can't believe that I'm the one who figured this out. This makes me feel really clever. It samples the remix of Mr. Bill by Grandmaster Caz.
I'm Mr. Bill, with big shoes to fill. With me you can't stay still. Yo.
Which was, I think it was remixed for The Get Down Part 2, which was a Netflix show about the kind of birth of hip hop, directed by Baz Luhrmann. I highly recommend checking it out. It's a bit twee, but it's fun. It's got Jaden Smith in it, and it's just a really interesting insight into the birth of hip hop and the state of kind of New York and the Bronx at that time. The song itself has an amazing kind of guitar and flute sample, which is incredibly distinctive and recognizable, and it works as a really great anthemic opening for the record. I've woken up with it stuck in my head every day this week, which is why it's featured. This is The Chase by Anderson .Paak.
Hold on and ride for your own. Together in spirit form. With your hands I can hold. In your heart there is hope.
The next artist I want to talk about is a band called Sunflower Bean. That's SUNFLOWERBEAN. Come from Brooklyn in New York. They recently, in March this year, released their second studio album called 21 in Blue, I think it's called. 22 in Blue? 22 in Blue, not 21. Other records from them have this really new wave punk meets Fleetwood Mac dream pop kind of sound to them. In fact, they credit Tusk by Fleetwood Mac being one of their influences for their latest album. And they also collaborated with Jake Portrait of Unknown Mortal Orchestra. This record in particular, it reminds me significantly of Tame.
Just know that I want you. Just know that I want you.
In fact, to an untrained ear, God, that makes me sound really wanky. But you could definitely be forgiven for mistaking them for Tame. 100%, this record is brilliant and sounds a lot like that. Which can only be a positive thing in my book. I think that the last Tame record was an absolute work of art. They have a new EP coming out in January, which this record today is taken from, and I've been listening to this all week. Annie Mac's been a very big supporter of this. I think she's played it every show in the last week, so clearly something that is in her sound, which means that it's probably in my sound too. No, I thoroughly enjoy this. I would say that has more of a Midwest influence to it than a New York sound. When I think New York, I think Action Bronson, LCD Sound System and the Strokes. This is way more Lemon Twigs, but regardless, I still think it's absolutely brilliant and it's definitely worth checking out. This is Come For Me by Sunflower Bean.
Do you really wanna come for me? Do you know I'm gonna? Do you really wanna waste my time? Do you? If you do, then do it right.
And the next record I want to talk about is a record that I came across when listening to Phil Taggart cover Stand In For Annie Mac a few weeks ago. It's a new artist for me, even though he had amazing success working with gigs on that really great record. What's it called? Oh yeah, Baby. Baby.
Baby, you on top of me, feel my heart times 3.
He's still a new one for me. Born in Trinidad and residing in Brooklyn. I wonder if he's neighbours with Sunflower Bean. It's hard to guess all of his influences, although his Wikipedia page cites influences from Michael Jackson, Prince, Kraftwerk and the Smiths, which I could definitely agree with. Maybe not the Smiths, I don't get that, but I haven't listened to all his music, so I don't think I can be the person to make that call. But you could definitely hear this being a Prince record. If this was released, 20 years ago, it could have very easily been a Prince record. This track in particular takes a lending hand from the enigma that is Tame Impala and is a cover of Only You by Steve Monite. Which is an amazing Afro boogie artist from the 80s, and it's a record that was calling out to be recycled, and how wonderful that Kevin Parker could be part of that. This kind of Afro boogie, funk, disco sound that's going around at the moment is incredibly exciting, and it's certainly a record that I've been obsessed with recently. This is Only You by Theophilus London featuring Tame Impala.
Only you, baby, can put out this fire. Only you, baby, can put out this fire running in my soul.
So that's it. That's 3 artists from America this week that I've been really into. I think next week I will probably go back to my normal layout of Music Club where I won't specify areas, because I think it just applies too much pressure for me to listen to different things. I want to discover music and enjoy it, not make it a chore. This was supposed to be a means for me to share music that I'm listening to. I don't want this to shape what I listen to, if that makes sense. But if there's anything that anyone listens to that thinks I should check out, then please do. First running announcement came on yesterday, and I'm going to be doing some really cool videos about the lineup, so I would imagine that will probably dictate quite a lot of what I listen to. But with artists like G Flip and Sandara Karma and the Amazons in there, I think we're going to see some really cool stuff going into next year, so I don't think we're going to be in any shortage of listening to new music anytime soon, so yeah, it's all good. Let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions, then please let me know. I'm trying some new audio stuff with this today, so if it sounds a bit weird, and I apologise. Anyway, regardless, enjoy your week. I hope you have a lovely time, and I'll see you for some other amazing videos soon. Cheers, bye.